I always believe when everything is pointing correctly in the right direction, if you don't do it, you will leave thinking, what if? Yeah, so rather than that, just don't think about it, do it. And if does not work out, can always say if you're moving country, move back. It takes a lot of bonus to do something. And starting a new chapter is never easy, but if you are in a place that you don't find yourself growing and you're even becoming depressive, then I think those are signs that you have to make that change.
I think change is inevitable. If you want to stay to where you are, what you've been doing, you can, but the world and environment has changed. And do you think you're still going to be effective if you don't change with the times? So change is inevitable, even if you want to preserve doing what you do, but change happens to you. Then what are you going to do then, right?
Just having those different experiences and those surprises, it makes life so much fuller. Give it a go, pick it up. It's sometimes certain experience could be bitter, sometimes it's sweet.
One of my life principles is like don't wake up when it's too late with what if, in the morning, because by then it's too late to do something about it. So the other principle I have is that most things in life are not irreversible. I'll say it again. Most things in life are not irreversible. You can never have perfect information. You can only make the decision with the most of the data points you have at a point in time, and then you got to go with it. And following that earlier principle, right? And the belief is that most things in life are not irreversible. If you think you make that decision, doesn't work out for whatever reasons, there's that option to go back or to pivot to go somewhere else.
There is this conversation that you always have with your friends who relocate, that is the grass is always greener on the other side. I think it has to be that juncture in your life where you intentionally decide this is it.
But one thing that I always fear is I fear waking up one day, let's say 50s, 60s, 70s, waking up and regretting the things that I could have done. And because by then it could have been too late because of energy, because of time, because of health or whatever. So all this what ifs kills me.
Hi, welcome to another episode of On My Own Terms podcast. My name is John Lim and I'm the host. In this podcast, I speak with the unconventional career changers and risk-takers who took the roads less traveled. Here I discover the why and the how of the journeys and deep dive into how they navigate their careers and lives on their own terms. If you have ever felt nervous, jaded, or are currently languishing at your career or life, this podcast is for you.
Hi everybody, welcome to the show today. Our guest today is Pamela. She's a Singaporean who uprooted her life to move to New Zealand not long after she graduated from Singapore Management University, or SMU in short. From a diploma in aeronautical engineering to finance major in SMU, she started her professional career doing branding, marketing, and then went on to be a self-employed brand consultant. Recently, she returned to Constellus, the first company that she joined in a professional career, to lead Shape the World experiences. It is a movement dedicated to driving economic inclusivity and global change. Outside her career, she's also a wife and a mom who essentially raised her young family in Auckland with her husband for the past 10 years. Welcome to the podcast, Pamela.
Thank you. Thanks, John. First of all, I'm very honored to be here. And yeah, hope that we'll be able to bring on some of our past drama production chemistry onto this podcast.
So fun fact for the audience. I think Pamela and I met at SMU. We both participated in the annual theatre production. So we were acting as a couple. She was acting as my wife in the production. I was supposed to be a 45-year-old taxi driver uncle. It was fun times. It was fun times.
I thought it was very interesting, the whole production, and
I It was a big cast, and I totally enjoyed it, and it's one of those experiences that I will never forget, because when else would I be involved in a theatre production? So and then the friendships, the people that I met, including you, otherwise I would have met you at SMU. We were at the different paths at SMU. So yeah, but yeah, let's hope there's chemistry, but there's no pressure. And for those who are watching, for the audience who are watching, we would see that Pamela is, looking very comfortable, very warm in her jacket. Maybe tell us where you're at. Tell us more about the place you're in now.
I am in Auckland, and we are I'm calling in here from 18 degrees, which is not that cold,
It's nice.
but yeah, but we are in the middle of winter in New Zealand.
What's the coldest it gets in Auckland for winter?
In Auckland, it can go as low as a single digit, like six, five. That would be considered cold. So often we say, in Auckland, it's like you get the cold, but you do not get the snow. So it's no fun. It's no fun at all. Yeah.
Got it. And I mean, we kind of lost touch, and I think on Facebook, I got to know that you moved overseas, and tell us that moment about the journey of moving from Singapore, uprooting a life, moving to Auckland. Why did you move to Auckland? How was it like? When was that? Which life stage were you at that point in time?
Well, okay. So must have that sounds like a million question. I'll try to, address them one step at a time. But I would say the story was this my now husband, he always wanted to start a family young. When I started dating him, it was a bit of a pressure. No, no, no. But eventually, yeah, things really, really worked out. We see, our futures together, and his family lives at that time already in Auckland, and my family lives in Singapore. So not sure why one day before he graduated, I think at that point of time I was working, like you say, with consulars, slightly over a year, and he was in his final year of uni. He was doing law, and at the point of time, his mom just popped a question, if will you guys want to eventually, if you guys get married, will you come to New Zealand, blah blah. And the interesting story, which I always remember, is at that point of time, I think it was because Jetstar started flying to New Zealand. And the one-way ticket cost $350 for you to fly to New Zealand. Will you take it? I mean, think about it right now, right?
Yep.
It's so
Yep.
cheap. So, so we were like, oh, should we buy a one-way ticket or, a return ticket? I guess just, one-way ticket and figure it out. So we bought the one-way ticket, and I kind of like knew that, okay, he's gonna, he probably will propose to me at some point down the road. So yeah, so we purchased two one-way tickets, and sometime down the road he proposed to me.
Nice.
And then we were like, okay, off to New Zealand for at the point of time in my head was like for our gap year, or whatever, just go there and figure it out.
When was this? Which year was this?
This was in 2011. It wasn't like a permanent move. It was more like, let's take a gap year, we have, no kids, no mortgage, no car, with no burden. We fine, we will have no job, or we could figure job out. There is just like very little risk to make that. Just go there for a gap year, figure it out.
And it's funny you mentioned Jets. Sorry to interrupt you, but just a few weeks ago, just announced that they're gonna go bust. They're going bankrupt.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. I think
that's
from July
right.
onwards, yeah, they're gonna
So
go bust. So, yeah, 2011 is quite
yes,
a 14 years
sorry
ago.
for them. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you
Oh,
benefited,
but
right?
they, yes, yeah, we did.
Now I know why they
And
go bust, right? Because $350
yeah,
ticket.
that's right. So, well, they shouldn't have done that. And after that, they actually stopped that 351 way ticket.
Hmm.
I think it was running for like 4 years, and they terminated that that
Promo.
route. Yeah, that promo, or even that route to New Zealand. Yes. Yeah, so say then we moved here, and then we found jobs, and then life got comfortable. Everything just seemed comfortable, a different lifestyle that we never had. I would tell people what really made us plant our root here in New Zealand is after having kids, after purchasing our first home, and that's when we really decided this is where we'll plant our root here for this season in our lives. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a topic that I'm curious. I think it's one thing to move to a different country when you are, say, single or without being a parent or without children, and then next thing you know, you gotta give birth to children, raise a family there. And but for the audience here, who are mostly non-living in Auckland, well, maybe after this episode, it's at more listeners be from Auckland. Yeah, could you give me 3 words to describe Auckland?
Oh, wow. I would say maybe one of the word is outdoor. It's got, that mix of outdoor, even though you are in a city. In terms of criteria for my husband and myself, just that great big outdoor. Second, balance, work-life balance, where it's a city definitely find most people that you meet, they have a hobby, they do have a profession that, they take pride in, but also there's some sort of balance in terms of family life, hobby, and also work. The last word would be livable. I find
Yeah.
Auckland being a very livable country. No, I mean maybe other people may not agree, but I think just climate wise, like I said, winter go 65 degree, and summer will be warm under 30 degrees. So in terms of temperature fluctuation, it's not like wide. It's not like you go negative. I think just in that sense, it's a very, very livable country in terms of, I guess, just enjoying the nature and also the coolness in the weather.
It is. So you relocated for love, I assume. I don't wanna I don't wanna make that concrete, but I assume. And then of course you got to find out that Auckland is actually very much livable, balanced, and has great outdoors.
We living here for 10 years, and we've come to appreciate like just the good of living here.
I mean, now we know the biggest incentive for you was the cheap tickets. But later on, you make that decision to uproot your life.
And then later on, I'm stuck.
Because the Jetstar closed the flight, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then you're stuck there like shit, But what was going through your head? I mean, what made you be okay with relocation?
Relocate. I think if we want to talk about relocation, there has to be that juncture in your life where you intentionally decide this is it. This is where. So, right? Because when I took the plane over here was more of a gap year. So at that point, when I was in my mid-20s, I have not made that mental decision to relocate. It was more of this is my gap year. I'm gonna just have fun. I'm gonna find a job and try working and living in different city, and then Singapore will always be home, and I'll move back to Singapore. But I think when you talk about it was only early 30s where it was more, I make more of a conscious decision that this is a relocation for this season. And what makes us make the decision would be definitely one of the factor would be our children. We wanted them to grow up to experience this. I do find it more nurturing during their, I would say, birth to toddler and primary school age, where they kind of like free range chicken. They can run wild, run free. There's a lot of space. Yeah. So yeah.
How would you describe the other aspects of raising a family in a place like Auckland?
Oh, I would say, I think the first thing that comes to mind when you ask me what's the difference, everything is different, from the time of birth to their baby years to their toddler years. Back in Singapore, in Singapore's medical system, you likely have a gynae that will be leading you through this whole pregnancy stage. It's one of the countries, besides New Zealand, would be the UK, where they have a midwifery system. So instead of going to the doctor, which you can, because choice is a big thing here, you have a choice of going with the midwives, or you can have a choice of going with the specialist. So we thought we'd go with the midwife because we discussed between my husband and I, we think that birth is a very natural thing. So that in itself was quite an experience for me because yeah, just being able to approach the whole pregnancy to labor in a very natural, like a naturally sort of way, where we I did not have any epidural, which is like natural, but which was super crazy. Super
Yes.
crazy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I don't know personally, but I know having epidural is a big deal.
yeah.
He
Well,
did it
it's
twice, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. The second time around was much easier for sure because your body has gone through practice. That's the whole idea. So birthing is different. Child raising, where it's pretty much quite like when I was, you know, so normally people will have a year off. You're able to take a year off work, and workplaces being able to reserve your spot for a year. So most people would take a year off. So for me, I took a year off, and it was a very hands-on approach of like parenting, which I found initially was a bit, I found it to be a bit of a struggle and adjusting because in Singapore, like an like Asian community environment, support, you get a lot of support from your family. Yeah, we do have support from my Suen's family, but is we wanted to be more hands-on, just like everyone else in Auckland, where it's a nuclear family and you take care of your own, your own child, yeah, with minimal external help. So at the point of time, I look a lot to Instagram, to the US mom, because USA and America, they claim to be a maidless nation, right? Servantless country.
Yep.
So most of the moms on Instagram at the point of time, they will have 3 or 4 kids and they do it by themselves. So I know during my when like the kids' baby years, I will always Instagram is honestly my go-to to help myself feel strong enough that I can, do this on my own because, well, all these moms in the States, they are like baking, running, and raising their kids. So I think then I guess this is where we talk about technology again. This is one of the goodness of technology because I felt quite isolated raising my kids here, but being able to go on social media at the point of time to see that if the mom can do it, so can I. Yeah.
If you're enjoying this podcast so far, kindly do us a big favor by subscribing and following the podcast wherever you're listening or watching this from. Kindly rate, review, and share this podcast if you have found any of the episodes helpful. Lastly, I invite you to share with us your comments and feedback on this podcast. Let us know how we can do better. You can direct message me on LinkedIn. My profile is John Lim CY, or email johnlimcy@gmail.com. I will read and reply every one of your emails. Till then, speak soon.
Yeah, I want to shift gears and talk about work. You definitely worked for a shorter period of time in Singapore before moving and working in Auckland. What would you say are some of the major differences between working in Singapore and Auckland? Give us an incident that you received culture shock in Auckland or in New Zealand that you didn't think it exists. You were surprised that this actually is a culture, it's a norm in Auckland.
So John, I need to tell you, when my employment in New Zealand, I was very fortunate to be kickstarting an office for a company that from Singapore that were wanting to set up a base here. So I think that makes me the first employee to start their setup then, and also put me in the position of hiring. I think in terms of I didn't really find there was one incident that put me off or that was taken aback. So in nuances, really the only thing would be the appreciation for like work-life balance, where people knock off on the dot at 5. They don't do any work beyond, in my office at least, they don't do any work beyond 5. In fact, by 4:30, they will start winding down. Sometimes with a glass of wine, even, so, and on Fridays, most people will leave at 4. So it was, and there's a respect to that. There's no questioning. Why are you leaving early today? Have you not finished your work? But I think in the SME Asian environment, you do get bosses, kind of speaking to you in a more authoritarian like manner, like almost like you're not allowed to leave till you complete the task.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, the point of time as well was being able to appreciate and respect people needing to go and coming back the next day to carry on their work because work never ends. So I think that was one, to me, that was a big thing.
Mm.
I think
And
maybe because a bit of workaholism, mindset.
yeah, I mean, it's been ingrained in our psyche, right? Since children, right? We
Yeah.
go for extra classes. I mean, I did tuition, but then you go to work, you bring this culture to work, right? We're not that we are extra competitive. It's not like we wake up wanting to beat everyone else at work, but it's just a psyche. I wouldn't even say work ethic. It's just something that we're used to. And especially when you're young and when you're younger in your life, we have like no obligations or you have no kids, you don't have a family yet, then maybe you could center your life around work. At least I did for me. So, and it sounds like when you are an employer in a place like Auckland, you would then have to factor this in and manage and plan your workload or plan your maybe business strategy, right? Because you know that people are not going to work extra hours. And then that's where you're going to manage that, okay, I need to expect that people get off at 5 o'clock sharp. So I may need to cater more time for this project to be finished. I mean, that's how I observe from what you said.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm quite curious because you asked about this culture nuances. Curious, do you think it will be quite different or curious?
My expectations?
Yeah, your expectation.
No, I mean, I was asking a general question, and I think being Singaporean, we can be quite in a privileged position to be wanted in the workforce of other nations or other countries. We're English speaking, we practice common law, right, for the UK style law. so that hence I'm trying to understand and help the audience understand how's it like working in other cultures. And the other nuance is that Singapore is quite a melting pot, right, of international cultures. People come and
Yes.
go, a lot of MNCs here, a lot of big multinational corporates here. And I think a lot of talents, right, from all over the world work in Singapore. So with them, they bring these cultures, these nuances, like how you as a Singaporean, you had the position of being an employer in Auckland. Then you bring certain psyche and certain mindsets as well and expectations. And of course, you got to know and understand the norms in a country. And likewise, imagine now, after you experience that in Auckland and you come back to Singapore, when you hire people, when you lead a team, or even you report to a boss, then I just think that there could be cultural transfers. And I think the audience and of this podcast could also benefit to understand what's out there. And a big team, I've always thought in my life is that being different is not wrong. The world is much bigger out there than Singapore. So if if we see something that we're not used to in Singapore, doesn't mean that it can't work. Different doesn't mean it's wrong, right? I don't see productivity drop, right? And there are countries out
You know
there.
what's so interesting
Tell me.
about
Yeah.
Singapore?
Tell me.
Is where culture nuances. So I find in Singapore office, one of the ways to show care, maybe it's just Asian mentality, right? Actions speak louder than words. So one of the way, I'm sure you heard this line before, right? Growing up. So Asian mentality is more like, I find that during tea breaks, you have this person in the company that will go around asking everyone to take, for their orders of what to buy. So I think there is a sense of like caring, but in a different manner.
Yep.
And it's quite a norm in most workplaces, by the time tea break, somebody's going to get up and ask, what would you like? I'm going down to this place, so and so, one of the latest bakery just opened up, and I'll take your order. So yeah, that was quite nice. And the other thing that I found, I think would be shocking if for other countries, this delegate or like expat to go to Singapore and find this shocking would be the fact that you could reserve, a seat in a hawker center using your
Yeah.
tissue paper. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or some could even reserve a seat, their cell phone, their mobile phone.
Yeah.
Or you could reserve a seat using your wallet.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Singapore.
And no one will take it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's so much safety and trust in that.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
Everywhere.
This is a system that no one will break.
Yeah.
Everyone respects,
Well,
because if one person breaks it,
it comes to the
yeah,
culture
it's
versus system thing, right? This culture of
yeah,
chopping or reserving a seat with your phone, with your wallet, comes with the system, or can easily or easier exist with a system where there is a huge law and order presence in Singapore,
yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah,
We have been whipped hard, right? I mean, in Singapore psyche, right? We were even being told to be kind. We have the Singapore kindness movement, right? So all this have
yes,
been, is institutionalized, right, by taxpayers' money. So my point
yeah,
is, this culture can exist. Culture exists and goes hand in hand with the system, right? This culture wouldn't exist in a place in London or New York where maybe the presence of law and order is not so evident or not so heavy. So it comes back to that. Yeah, I mean, this just came to my mind. Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, the culture is interesting. I mean, foreigners will be like, oh, what the hell, So work culture is one thing. And I think that you've also taken career breaks in your past, I don't know, 15 years of professional
yeah.
experiences. And I would just jump straight to like your most recent stint, right? Now you're back at this company that you first joined in the start of your career. What made you rejoin that company? What was your decision process like?
Well, at the point of time, I was coming out of a contract work that I was with, and I had a bit of free time, got reconnected with my ex-boss, and I just thought I will ask, if he's looking for someone, if he has any bottleneck in his, his current running of business, because I have some spare time. I think the key thing was what the friend that I mentioned before in Berlin, is sometimes you just have to open your mouth and ask.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
yeah, so it was just the right place and right time, because prior it was at a juncture where I really do have that time and space mentally to take on a new project, and he needed help. So it was like a mutual win-win situation. And yeah, because we have worked before, there was synergy. So we thought, let's work on this project, and we know the runway for it as well. It's going to be 6 months leading to the event, and we know exactly like the goalposts, what you need to do from the start to the end. So it makes it quite, to me, it was, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, it was something that I could envision being done. Yeah.
Yeah, to give more context, maybe you want to share with us, like what does the company do and what is this role all about?
The company has gone into, it was a consulting firm,
Mhm.
but gradually they have gone more into like partnership, where they are working to bring on partners from different parts of the world and different industry, so that they could come together to collaborate on projects, or they could come together to share their knowledge or expertise. So now they work more partnership scheme. So for the project that I'm working on, is an annual event where they bring together a network of partners for a gathering in an international arena. So whether is it in Vietnam, Italy, or Nigeria, next year they'll be going to Abuja in Nigeria. The core idea remains the same, that if, the global leaders can come together in one place, they can exchange ideas, build synergy, collaborate more effectively on large scale impactful projects. So the pipeline dream is to foster global cooperation and creating partnership that can drive change.
No, got it.
I think so. One of the things that has always been on my mind, and my husband as well, is to be able to share. About 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, started a edible garden in our backyard,
Nice.
which we would love to, share with the world. As we are chatting today, before we start our conversation, you also mentioned something about AI.
Yeah.
Like AI is something that is like sort of on your mind. Honestly, last night, before I was invited to come. I mean, I knew that we are gonna have this like podcast to get meet together. I watched this episode on YouTube by Simon Sinek, It is an episode from The Diary of a CEO
Yep.
where Simon Sinek, yeah, where they were talking about AI. So the title is You Are Being Lied to about AI's real purpose. So it talks about, AI taking over jobs and then you end up with so much free time, right? So even before this podcast, parents are talking about what happens if, your kids start using ChatGPT to do their homework. Really, will eventually come into our life just like how internet did. So when you have so much time, then my husband and I was always saying, then you go back to the earth where you start growing vegetable.
Yep.
You start cooking, you start actually doing the things that could be more nurturing and good for your soul. So,
Yep.
and we do a large part of raising our child over here allow us to grow our own vegetables where they only eat vegetables that's homegrown, which is like quite rare, like compared to my peers in Singapore. It's quite rare that you have probably a hydroponics in your in
Yep.
your home
Yep.
and all your children only eat vegetable that's homegrown. So it's a passion topic that we have, and we're thinking how we can either share our experience, our knowledge, and inspire others to do the same. So in fact, interestingly, we have invited people over because we really wanted just so much joy in sharing and building the community of people who are, interested in doing the same thing. So we invited some older Kiwis to our place, who grew up here. And when they came to our garden, they have the same, reflection that is, I would say these are the people in their 50s and 60s, they were the same reflection is, that's what we used to do. That's what my mom and dad used to do. We used to grow our own potatoes, used to grow our own broccoli. And then over time, you ask yourself, where did all this go? So it's time to bring back like just going back, returning to earth. Yeah, we call it returning to earth. So the next chapter, what we thought would be, probably interesting would be to put a kitchen and edible garden together and create like an Airbnb experience, a tour experience, not a stayover experience. So something that we both are interested in doing and opening up to just travelers who are passing through who like to view what a domestic edible garden sustainable edible garden look like. Yeah.
Let me check out the latest air tickets to Auckland. My family and I are looking for a holiday. So we could be your guinea pigs, we could be your first guest, because the audience of this podcast, you heard it first. And I a few thoughts come to my mind. You may want to check out Airbnb because Airbnb has this thing called experiences. I think it could be something that's already people are doing. So you can check out for inspirations, how they're doing it, how to monetize it, what else you can add on. But before all that, I think it's a wonderful, excellent idea.
That is going to be the our next gig.
Yeah, no, it's
our next
I'm fully supportive. I have a very draconian view or version of your vision. And that was inspired by actually this GP doctor that was actually at the basement of our school, SMU. I used to see him when I was at SMU. The succinct version is this: when there's AI machines and robots trying to take over the world, and when humans need to hide from those machines and these robots, then what are the key skills that is needed by humans, right? You need to know how to grow your own food. That's a fundamental thing because you need to eat. Everybody needs to eat. You need to find shelter, water, food. So being able to grow your own food is a real skill because you need that to sustain yourself, right? You do not need Netflix to survive, but you need food to survive, right? So that could just be a great antidote to what happens if AI goes rogue on us, right? So that's the Dracolian, very scary, big brother, very black magic kind of feel.
Yes, maybe we all need that because you'll find after you get into, gardening or cooking, you find these chores being quite therapeutic.
Yes.
For yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
And with work, we are not able to have that mental space or to enjoy such activities.
Yep.
But maybe with AI, we might be able to gain back a bit of time to find joy in simple daily chores like this. And so something interesting, we've got 4 chickens in our backyard.
Nice.
Two were inherited
I'm,
from
I,
our friends. They are called Salt and Pepper, and the other two we named them just like Singaporean. We named them Milo and Bandung. Yeah.
okay. I thought you were
So
gonna say
yeah.
Kayang. Okay. And talking about AI, I'm curious how you currently using AI, if at all, in your work or even personal life.
Two ways I
Tell
use
me.
mostly ChatGPT,
Uh-huh.
right? So there are two ways I use it. So I use ChatGPT for sometimes just to prove my writing and so to be able to just word maybe an article better. Yeah, so that's why I do professionally. Non-professionally, my father-in-law recently found out the hack of using ChatGPT to cook. So, and then I did the same. So basically, you jump on board ChatGPT and you put down, say you have a carrot, I'm just random coconut milk and then pasta. And then you just put like carrot, coconut milk, pasta. Give me a recipe for this three item and make it fancy, And ChatGPT, I have tried at least five recipes and they were all great. Yeah. So this is a life hack. You can use ChatGPT to learn to cook or to create a recipe.
Awesome. That is okay.
Yeah.
I don't cook lah, and I can't cook lah, right? But now with knowledge and content is abundant, right? It's infinite. Most seemingly infinite. Then there's no excuse, right? So the only excuse is inaction, right? So okay, that's probably a good kick in my ass to do something about it. I mean, having two young children, I think food it's very important, right? You want to make sure that they're eating the right food that is suitable for them at this point in time in their lives. You don't have to put things in their body that that may impact them down the road. So yeah. I mean, for me, I don't really care what I eat. But I do care what I eat. I consume less meat now if I can. But yeah, food is it's a good one. Gardening, and then cooking. These are also great ways to bond with children and family. And then you can sit all together in a family, on a table, and just enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? So very meaningful stuff. And this other thing that came to my head is that
Yeah,
if we work,
hopefully meaningful stuff that can be brought back with AI, That's what
that's where
Simon
you can
Sinek
do
was
another
saying.
activity at your Airbnb, right? You teach people, travelers who
Yes,
book your Airbnb, how to cook.
how to cook. Yeah,
See, right?
cute.
So yeah, you can charge them for
Yeah,
that, right? A cooking tour,
yes.
a farm tour, and then a
Yeah,
cooking. So yeah,
yeah.
and I think I'm just conscious of time, and I just want to ask you some sort of like
Yes.
reflections, right? I mean, we've spoken a lot today. I think this conversation has turned into corners that I didn't expect, and but
Hmm.
I just want to also leverage, I think, this conversation and the fact that you have kind of lived a life that is a bit unique. You uprooted your life to live in a different continent, brought out children, brought out your family in a different place, and I just want to hopefully extract some of the wisdom that you have got. And maybe some things I have in mind is that if someone listening to this or watching this right now and is considering a bold move in a career or life, say moving overseas like you did, or returning to a previous company or doing a career switch, career change, um, what what would you say to this person?
I would say just do it because if you do not, I mean, it has to be quite please weigh out your decision. Create like a, decision matrix sort of chart where you put the pros and the cons, work through all the pros and the cons, be happy and at ease with it. Everything's been done. I mean, first is to evaluate yourself, I would say. Second, perhaps some people find it useful to seek out opinion from their trusted friend or parents. Do that, do your research, definitely. After everything is done, sometimes you just have to go with your gut and just do it. Yeah, because I always believe when everything is pointing correctly in the right the direction, if you don't do it, you will leave thinking, what if, Yeah, so don't think about it, do it. And if does not work out, the thing about the worst case situation, if it doesn't work out, you can always say if you're moving country, move back. Say if you don't like your job, find another job. Yeah, so I think it's just there are actually plenty of options that could be possible, and just having that brave. Sometimes having, yeah, like you say, it takes a lot of bonus to do something, and if anything helps, starting a new chapter is never easy, but if you are in a place that you don't find yourself growing and you are even becoming depressive, then I think that those are signs that you have to make that change. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked this, or I asked versions of this question, I think, to most of my podcast guests. And I think on a few points. One, it's I think having a good support system. I think it helps. I think it matters to know that you can have people that you can talk to, where you trust their advice, you trust their opinions. I think that's helpful to really go through this decision, right? Like you said about the weighing out the decision. If you keep this thinking inside your head, it will just remain in your head. But if you talk it out, play it out, debate it out, right, then I think it strengthens your pros and cons. It strengthens your option B, C, and D if you have to go to option B and B, C, and D. I think that's one. And I one of my life principles is like don't wake up when it's too late with what if, in the morning, because by then it's too late to do something about it. So the other principle I have is that, or the other belief I have is that most things in life are not irreversible. I'll say it again. Most things in life are not irreversible. What is irreversible? Having a child. That's irreversible.
That's right.
You can't pop it back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yes.
most things outside of that, like you said, right, can be reversible, right? If you move to a country, somehow things don't work out, move back, right? And you can never have perfect information. You can only make the decision with the most of the data points you have at a point in time, and then you got to go with it. And following that earlier principle, right? And the belief is that most things in life are not irreversible. If you think you make that decision, doesn't work out for whatever reasons, there's that option to go back or to pivot to go somewhere else.
I think, yeah, it's exactly why you are doing this podcast. We are doing this. One of, just give it a go.
Yeah. Coming back to you.
Do not live with the what if.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's important. I think it's important, and I think at this point, I know the star of the show today is you, but I just want to say one thing is that
it's not.
I made seemingly bizarre career decisions, right? I mean, I did econs in SMU, and then I did banking, and then most people from SMU would have gone to banking. But then I came out and I did laser tech. I started laser tech business. But one thing that I always fear is I fear waking up one day, let's say 50s, 60s, 70s, waking up and regretting the things that I could have done. And because by then it could have been too late because of energy, because of time, because of health or whatever. So all this what ifs kills me. So I go out there and do all this stuff so that I eliminate all the what ifs, so that I have no regrets. I didn't really win and succeed at entrepreneurship. The business didn't go as the way I planned. But so what? I don't have that what if. Most people, maybe at this stage of our lives, they wish that they've done something else or doing something on the side, but they don't. And then the thing I really fear is waking up feeling angry, feeling bitter, and having no options to do anything about it anymore. So that really drives me. It's a fear thing, I hate that, because by then you're really helpless, and I hate being helpless. That's what drives me. So this podcast thing, I mean, it's not super professional, but you know what? So what? So what?
It is. It could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me.
I think having this conversation, and as we speak, just a good way to what this is almost like the Forrest Gump movie. Life is like a box of chocolate, where where just having those different experiences and those surprises, it makes life so much, fuller. Give it a go, pick it up. Sometimes certain experience could be bitter, sometimes it's sweet. And yeah, and I think also you plan something, but not everything can be planned. Yeah, so like you say, you took econs and then you move on, you're having a pivot in your life, you move on. So when I pick like aeronautical engineering, yeah,
Yes.
there was certainly I found out it was not a career I could imagine myself doing. And in fact, I made a lot. I think the goodness that came out of it is made lots of good friends. And I feel like it was a couple of handful that became a licensed aircraft engineer. The rest some went on to the corporate, some went on to being pilots, some went on, to starting their own business. So it's like, yeah, life is like a box of chocolate. We just have to enjoy what comes next, and yeah.
If you could have a
And
billboard with any message you want to broadcast, what would it be?
for my billboard, it would be life is like a cup of filtered coffee.
Tell us more.
Wait,
Mm.
have you ever tried a good filter coffee? When you come over, my husband can make you one
Okay.
with your
Deal.
with your
Deal.
family and do the
Mm.
tour, and we have
Deal.
coffee.
Deal.
So for a filter coffee like a V60, the flavor, the profile of the coffee changes as the temperature goes down. So life is like a cup of filter coffee where you have to savor every bit, together as the temperature, yeah, goes down. So
Wow. Wow, it's super profound. Wow. See, look at what I've done to you, you know? You have now new worldviews
yes,
thanks to me. I man, then
thanks, John.
then I have to
Honestly, your question makes me think
I have to I have
hard
to
about
I
my
I
life.
I
Yeah.
need to then stay for free then at your Airbnb then, right? You can't charge me rental
Okay.
anymore, right? And,
And
and
this is on podcast.
yeah, it's public now.
Yeah.
When
So,
when you when you hear or see the words on my own terms, what immediately comes to your mind?
so when I think of on my own terms, it was not like a big shout to be different. And in fact, talking about being different, back in our uni days in SMU, the slogan for SMU was to be different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yes. Correct. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
yeah, we may be byproduct of this slogan, who knows? But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, on my own terms, for me, I think it's more of a quiet, sort of internalized understanding of what it means to carve your own path, your own pathway to go on the unbeaten track. And I think I would like on my own terms to be more of I mean, for me, like more of a freeing sort of like encouragement, do it on your own terms. So yeah, I think that's how I I hope it will be for others when they think about it.
And what does
It could
what?
be a lot of things
Yeah.
to a lot of
But
people. Yeah.
and I'm going to narrow it down,
Yeah.
right? So, what does living life on your own terms mean to you right now at this stage of your life?
So living life I mean, my joining with my husband is on our own terms. It's really one of my friends say like, Suen and Pam, they are like couples that go against the grain, which is quite funny because my friend was saying, yeah, it's almost like you guys are literally growing vegetables in your own backyard, So, so on our own terms, it's more so going back to the basics, yeah, for us, and also appreciating the basics, cooking, your meals, enjoying fellowship with people like friends, come over for dinner, having a conversation. I think that's like to be able to have that for me is something quite precious because most of the time, if it's not by your terms, what will you be doing? 9 to 5, clocking in at 9 to 5, sitting in traffic, coming home, getting takeaway dinners. There will be the flip side, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on our own terms is to be able to do that and to bet. There is so to do that is also a bit of a battle because you have to get into your head. Like for us, well, this is the way that I could do, but I'm gonna do it like I'm going to do it otherwise because I've made a commitment. Yeah. So, yeah.
I can't think of a better way to end this conversation. Going back to basics, I define it as slow living, and I think another thing that came to me in my head when you spoke about that was, I think, knowing what to give up to get what you want, it's also equally important, because you chose, in fact, it could make what you want even more precious, because you know that you will make the commitment to really eat only the in-season vegetables. So you need to give up this urge, to go for whatever you feel like in whichever season. So it's a commitment that I think you are upholding. It's not just about what you want, but also you need to realize what you need to give up to get to get what you want. And it comes with certain wisdom, right? Certain experience, and certain journey, to realize that, hey, I'm willing to make this trade-off because what I want is really, really worth it. And it's not going to be a bit of roses or walk in the park, right? To do things your way.
Yes.
Yeah, especially you choose something that is against the grain, right? Like what you said. So I have one more question for you, if you don't mind, if you could indulge me. Like, through this journey so far for you, is there, or what's one quote or saying that you live by?
Well, one quote that is quite me would be nothing ventured, nothing gained. I think that's one quote that.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you, Pamela, for being on the show today and sharing a wonderful story. I think there are a lot more that we can talk about. But for time, we gotta stop here. And I will put now all the things we talk about in the show notes. And hopefully this will be the last time that we talk to each other. Maybe we do the next episode with you at your place, at your Airbnb.
Oh, yes.
That'd be cool,
Yes, that's
no?
right.
That'd be cool, no?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Put the date down.
So
Okay.
thank you, Pamela.